Hello everyone, hope you all are doing really well. In this video, we have a very special guest with us. We are joined by Yutish Prabhakar, who is an IIM Ahmedabad Alumnus, batch of 2021, and currently working with FinIQ Consulting as an Assistant Vice President. So we are going to talk to Yutish about his CAT preparation journey, how did he prepare for his personal interviews, his life at IIM Ahmedabad, and so much more. My name is Balachandar and I am going to be your host today. So without any further ado, let's get started. So, hi Yutish. Thanks for taking time out from your busy schedule and joining us today. So, how are you doing?
Hi Vala, thanks for that amazing intro. So it's always a pleasure to come back to IIM. So I've been doing great. Thanks for inviting me to do this.
Sure, our pleasure. So, I think before we get into your life at IIM-A, because I think a lot of the viewers will be very eager to listen to that. So, could you please tell us a little bit about yourself, where you're from, your educational background and profile?
Okay. So I graduated from NIT Trichy in 2015. My branch was instrumentation and control engineering. So from there, I worked for 2.5 years with Reliance Industries Limited and then manufacturing division. So I was in the factory day in and day out for roughly 2.5 years. One fine day, I just decided to call it quits. Resigned one fine day and started preparing for CAT out of the blue. This was in 2017. So I didn't clear the CAT in the first time. I got a 98.7 in the first time, had a few calls, but couldn't really convert any of them. So this was the first time. Then I worked with 2IM for roughly a year. Uh, the next time, I think there was a lot of help from people there as well. The next time, I got 99.81 and managed to get through IIM Ahmedabad. So Ahmedabad was a really enriching experience, if I may say that. So after that, through campus placements, I'm right now working with FinIQ Consulting. We're a fintech platform provider. We cater to most of the investment and private banks spread across the world. So that's that about me.
Super. I think that's a fantastic percentile that you got in your CAT. I think a lot of them would be aspiring to get that and get into IMA. I think right now we are in the middle of the interview season as well. These schools are rolling out calls, and a lot of the aspirants out there are very anxious to prepare for their personal interviews, and they are obviously a lot of them are facing these interviews for the first time as well, right? So there is this sense of anxiety which is there with them, and obviously there are a lot of questions in their mind as well. What if the interviewer asks a question that they are not able to answer, and so on and so forth. So you being a person who has attempted this exam not just once but twice and been through this process twice, so I'm sure you would have had tons of interviews where some of them would have gone good, well for you, and some of them would have been bad interviews. So if you could recollect maybe one good and one bad interview experience of yours, and if you could share that experience with us, maybe walk us through your mindset and thought process, that would be really helpful for all the aspirants.
Well, thanks for saying that is a great CAT percentile. I think Rajesh has outdone this multiple times. I've lost track of how many times he's done that. Okay. So,
I
okay.
think for you, Rajesh sir is a benchmark, but I think 99.8 itself is a pretty high benchmark
Okay.
for a lot of aspirants. I think
Okay.
there is no two ways about it anyway.
Okay. Rajesh is the benchmark for all CAT aspirants, right? So, just going back to your question, right? So, I think I'd probably like to narrate two bad interview experiences. I can't recall any good experiences, but I'll try to get at least one of them. So, the first bad experience I had was my first CAT attempt. So, like I said, I got 98.74 if I'm not wrong. So I had calls from Lucknow and Kozhikode. So I had given the Lucknow interview first. Uh, I think that was one of the worst 20 minutes of my life. And I was a very crude CAT aspirant back then. I didn't have any real guidance. I just one fine day decided to quit my job and prepare for CAT. I just got these two calls, and I was there sitting in front of two very senior IIM Lucknow professors. Oh, I had a career gap back then of I think 4 to 5 months. So the question they kept harking back on was why you quit? Why should I not pick any other candidate who has been able to take care of work or take care of studies and at the same time crack the CAT? So I really had no answers. I just kept saying that uh, I couldn't work anymore. Very, very crude, very unpolished answers. There were a few basic questions about, say, time value of money, basic financial concepts. So I wasn't able to answer any of them. So the professors were literally laughing at me. So I think that would be the first bad experience I have of CAT. So if you're looking, I think I can go with one more bad experience. This was the second time around when I had a higher percentile. I was much more confident going into the interview. This was with IIM Bangalore. So I had actually gone to Bangalore, stayed there for a couple of days, and then went to campus for the interview. Uh, I was pretty confident given that my CAT score was relatively high, and Bangalore in that sense prefers people who have work experience. So what happened there was Bangalore has this unique interview panel. They have two professors and one alum. So I don't think any other campus does this. I'm not sure if that's still the trend. So there were questions on a niche topic, a topic that I wouldn't want to name here, but it was not something unparliamentary. It was something that was in the vogue that time, but I really didn't have any idea about what was going on back then. So I just decided to, say whatever comes to my mind, and but it turned out very, very bad. And the professors and the alum had a very good knowledge of what is happening back then, and I could have simply said I don't know what's happening. Can we switch to a different topic? But as things went, I didn't do that, and really badly screwed up my interview. So in terms of experience, I would say don't do this. Stick to what you know. So on the flip side, after the Bangalore interview, I think immediately after I had the Lucknow interview, so I didn't want a repeat of the previous year. So I think the interview I prepared for the most was the Lucknow interview rather than not any other interview. So over there, I think the professors were engineers as well, if I'm not wrong. So we had a very, very engaging conversation. Like I was able to confidently answer whatever they asked. It was mostly in the field of engineering in terms of the work I had done at Reliance. So very confident, very breezy conversation. I had actually done a lot of research on IIM Lucknow to the extent that I even knew the names of the professors who were sitting there, the latest research papers they've done. So in that sense, I think that was the best interview I had, purely because I didn't want a repeat of Lucknow of the previous year. That was the reason I put in this much effort. And I would say this was the most memorable, good interview that I've had.
I think it definitely conveys a very important point, which is like in your good interview experience that you told, right? I am Lucknow interview where you did the homework about the institution, about the professors, clubs, whatever, right? I think even though you might have done those things for, I mean, a lot of the aspirants do that for to sort of inspire or to sort of impress the panelists, right? So instead of doing that, I think you genuinely did the research and you sort of went ahead and spoke about all those things. So I think putting in that work will definitely sort of in some ways drive the interview, right? I think that's what sort of happened. Maybe they are genuinely felt like, okay, you had come prepared for the interview. So I think maybe,
Okay,
do you think?
sorry to interrupt. I'll just be brutally honest. I don't think I was being genuine there. I was just trying to impress the panelists.
Okay.
But as things stood, it turned out good for me. And in the sense, I had a really bad experience with Lucknow the previous year. I just didn't want that to repeat. So I think I just went a bit overboard. But in terms of interviews, I don't think you're expected to know that much about the campus. Everyone knows that there are a lot of campuses you are applying to. You're definitely not expected to know the names of the professors, the kind of work they do. I would just say I didn't want to repeat, so I just went over.
Right. So anyway, so I think in some sense that would have definitely helped you, and I think that also showed in the interview. So I think in when you talked about your bad interview experience, right? A couple of things sort of stood out. I think one of the worst nightmare of any aspirant would be to get laughed at them when they're giving that interview, right? That's the worst. So you feel like you're giving a very honest answer, or you're fumbling or whatever it is, but if there is a genuine sort of reply from the panelist, at least that would be a little bit comforting. But if they laugh at you, it would have been a very difficult experience to handle it. I mean, how did you, I mean, sort of handle that, and even stepping out of that interview and going into the next one, right? So how did it not have an impact on your mind, or when you get into the next one, how did you brush it off and prepare for the next one? So if you could talk a little bit about that.
Okay, sure. So I don't think they were just laughing at me. They were looking at me like, how why did you write the cat? Why are you here? I think that was the level of uh, I would say bad blood that was flowing back then. Uh, okay, so Bangalore in that MBA season was my first interview because of the higher percentile. I had calls from most of the IIMs. So I was camping in Bangalore for 10 days because I think I had a series of 6 or 7 interviews, if I'm not wrong. So Bangalore was the first interview I had given. So this is say after 1.5 years of quitting my Reliance job. So there was a lot at stake for me back then because I couldn't really fail again. I couldn't really spend one more year preparing for CAT. So I you just had to at least this is what I did. I just looked at the negatives that were there for me in that interview. I don't think there was any positive other than getting to see the campus at Bangalore. So I just decided to stick to my guns. Say if there's some topic that you don't know about, it might be bad, but it's even worse to even worse if you kind of try to work your way around the topic, saying stuff you don't know. Uh, I would say if you don't know something, just stick to your gun, say you don't know that, and try to direct the conversation towards something you're more confident about. So that's what I try to do in all of my other interviews, uh, and I think that kind of worked for me after that.
So, Yutish, I think that gave a very good idea of how your interview experiences was. I think you gave us a couple of bad experiences and a good experience. So I think now, if you could tell a couple of points for all the aspirants out there who are preparing for these interviews, right? So, some certain do's and don'ts. What should they need to keep in mind while preparing for interviews, and maybe even during interviews, how do you handle nerves and all those things?
Okay, sure. So I would say the first thing you need to prepare in depth for an MBA interviews, you should know yourself. You should know yourself in and out, say right from school, your family life, you as a person, what you like to do during school, what you did during college, what made you uh, pick up the career in case you have work experience, what made you pick up that job, and in case you're a fresher, why, what made you do an MBA right now instead of taking up a job? I think these things matter much more than your knowledge of the world. Uh, People might have varying degrees of knowledge about the world or the questions that are being asked in an MBA interview, but these questions are definitely going to be standard. They will be asked in any MBA interview. So I think I would say three do's that I would say is know yourself, know about the college with which you're interviewing, and know why you want to do this MBA. So I think I touched upon why know yourself before. Know what's the college. You're going to apply to a lot of colleges, or at least the tier two colleges. They would actually look for a reason on why you're really applying to this particular college. So I would say for each interview, I have a couple of points which mention why you have applied to this college, what really pulls you into that college. I think that will really make a difference. So that was the do's. What the don'ts, I would say, like I said in a couple of my bad interviews, do not kind of try to cook up elaborate stories. If there's something you don't really know about, say that upfront. That will help you much more than you trying to weave your way around the interview. At least in terms of my experience. The other thing, be confident. Don't be unconfident. I don't know if that's a word, but if you're not confident, I think it really shows for the interviewers. Uh, the first impression they have of you is the way you walk in, the way you behave, rather than the content you're going to say during the conversation later. So I would say enter the interview room, enter the process with a lot of confidence. And when you're going to be attending multiple interviews, so don't mix and match stuff about colleges.
Right. I think that has given a lot. I mean, you've given a lot of points for the aspirants. I think one of the important things that you told is having that confidence, right? I think it is one of the most important things, as you said. They say it, right? Fake it till you make it. So walk in, strut in, like you are very confident. So I think as and when you attend a lot of interviews and mocks, I think it will become better and better. So I think that would be the key. I think one
Okay,
more
but
important, yeah.
fake it till you make it didn't really work for me. So if you're
Okay.
going to go down that way, be sure you fake it really well. At least I think I
Okay.
wasn't able to do it well.
So I hope all the aspirants would definitely use these points to prepare better for their interviews, and I hope that they take value from that. So
Again, sorry, these are just my experiences. I think everyone has their own viewpoints. I think you can pick and choose which of these works. Like Pala said, you either fake it till you make it, or you try to be genuine, but don't try to tread a middle path, which might not really work for you.
So I think Yutish, let us now get into your IIM Ahmedabad interview experience, right? Your interview process. So like any other IIMs, IIM Ahmedabad has two stages. The first one is the AWT, the analytical writing test, and the second one is the PA round. So IIM Ahmedabad's AWT is slightly different from other IIMs, which has case study based AWT, right? So did you do any specific preparation for IIMA's AWT? What was your preparation for it? And maybe you can also later talk about your interview experience as well from there.
Okay, sure. So the AWT requires a slightly different preparation, at least in my words. So the others have a VAT, which is more of a descriptive piece. It's more like a short essay, but AWT is geared more towards the similar section that's there in the GMAT. So I was working with Visaco back then, who are, by the way, great providers of GMAT prep material. I'm not plugging anything in, right? So I got to know about this section in the GMAT back then. So what I did as preparation for the IIM-A AWT is I picked up a few of those questions and I just tried to answer them and got it vetted, verified by the tutor at Visaco. So that was my strategy for preparing for AWT. Agreed. I've heard of a few people, most people who don't really prepare specifically for AWT, but I would say go in prepared rather than going in without any idea of what's going to hit you. So I would say prepare for AWT by borrowing a few questions from the GMAT prep material.
Super. I think that also tells that like if you're going to prepare, have someone that you have a reliable source so that you sort of give it to them and sort of make sure that your preparation is fine. Any mistakes that you're doing can also be sort of rectified, right? So there's another person who's helping out. I think that would be really helpful as well. So as he said, definitely go very prepared, right? So I mean, you can be very good, but anything can happen on that particular day. So being prepared is going to get you that little bit closer to your goal and everything. So I think that is important.
Yeah, yeah. Like Bala said, I think you might be really good at writing, but you don't. If you don't really show it to anyone else, you never really know if this is good or this is not as good. You, in your sense, you might think you're a very good writer. It might turn out otherwise. No disrespect to anyone looking at this, but I would say in terms of preparing for the MBA process, uh, reach out to someone, get their feedback so that you can improve yourself.
Super. So now let us talk about your IIM Ahmedabad interview experience. So how nervous were you before getting into the interview hall, or what was the thing that went into your head before getting into the room, and how were you able to calm your nerves and attend it, and what was your opinion of your performance in the interview once you came out of it? Like, what was your mindset when you came
Okay.
out?
So the Ahmedabad interview was I think the third or fourth in that week of interviews for me. So of course I was very nervous because Bhaskar sir at Pisako had told me a lot of stuff about how good IIM-A is. So was quite nervous. One thing that helped was I had Gallup with me. Gallup is to IIM I'm in the same batch. So we went to the interview together. He's right now working in a very senior position in Navi. So we were there together. We had the same interview panel. He went in first. I went in next. So it was nervous and fun at the same time because I was there with someone I knew quite closely back then. Right. So, the interview as such, I would say it was a bad experience for me. At least that's what I thought when I came out of the interview room. There were two interviewers, two quite senior professors, uh, because I know them from college later. So, the interview was, it started with, as I told, tell me about yourself, your journey about, say, right from school till what you've been doing till before you enter the interview room. So that's how it started. So it was more conversational, and then it went back to questions on why I had the career break, what I was doing in the meantime. So it was more conversational at the beginning. So, stuff related to what I did since school through college to work ex till before entering the interview room. That's how it started. There were questions on what made me take a career break, uh, why I did that, what positives did I get out of that, that kind of stuff. And then there were a few technical questions based on my work profile. I actually felt both the interviewers were highly disinterested in the interview. But as things turned out, they were uh, writing down a lot of feedback. They really seemed disinterested to me. So the moment I walked out of the interview, I felt this is also a goner. I had no hopes for IIM back then. So it was more of a conversation to summarize the interview. No really technical questions were asked. It was I would say more a test of who I was as a person and how well I was able to communicate this to the interview panelists.
So
Okay,
yeah,
just wanting to add my two more cents here. So
yeah,
I
sure.
think most of the interviews I attended were kind of bad for me. I wasn't really a great conversationalist. I don't think I am a great one now as well. But most of the interviews I felt went really bad. Turned out really decent for me. And the couple of interviews where I felt I really aced it, this I'm definitely getting into this college. I didn't actually get through any of them apart from Lucknow. So I would say take each interview as a different experience. Don't let a success or failure in your view for one interview seep into the subsequent interviews. Take, like Tony says, one match at a time.
That's great. So I think now let us get into your IIM Ahmedabad life. I think this is the part where most of them will be waiting for to sort of hear it from you. So, I mean, I'm sure that you would have been on cloud nine when you got the IIM Ahmedabad admit, right? So, how was it when you got it, and what were your feelings when you before getting into IIM-A, and how did it change inside IIM-A, right? So, what was that like? And what are the two things that you really enjoyed at IIM-A? So, if you could talk a little bit about that as well.
Okay. So it was, I don't know. I was out for roughly 1.5 years. I was since I quit my job at Reliance. So this was something I saw as a success after a long time. So a sea of change, both personally and at home. It was like you said, I was on cloud nine for a few days. That was till I got to get into IIM Ahmedabad. So I saw people who had, I don't know, amazing resumes. They had done a lot of stuff, something that I can probably only dream of. So once I got in there, it was pretty nervous. I was pretty nervous, to say the least. I was in a sea of superstars, if I can say that, right? So I think that was how it started. Quite nervous, quite stressed for time, a lot of stuff to juggle. Had to prioritize which to do, which not to. Kind of like always, just settled in after a few months. Uh, I think IMA is very, very rigorous. If I could say that there's just too much academics going on. Not just that, there's just too much other stuff going on as well. You have competitions, you have these are different clubs, special interest groups which you can take part in. But again, I think for most people, most of the time is spent exclusively in preparing for next day's class. Might be an unpopular opinion, but one of the things I love the most about IMA was the campus itself. We call it the heritage campus. It's quite dilapidated right now. I think there's a lot of reconstruction going on. The campus is very, very breezy, very well lit up. There was just a sense of positivity whenever I looked around outside my room. Right, so that was one thing I liked about IMA. The other thing I really liked the setup of the classroom. The second year for me was mostly online because of COVID. The first year we had it's more of an amphitheater setup. There's the professor and you have a U where the students sit. So uh, for each student, it seems like the professor is very close to you in terms of distance. So I really liked the way the classroom was set up and how each class was structured. So, apart from this, as part of the placement committee at IIM-A, so I think that was something that really taught me a lot in terms of myself, in terms of how to speak to people. Uh, I learned a lot really from the placement committee. So you asked for two things. I think these were three things I enjoyed the most at IIM-A.
Super. That's really nice to hear. Right. I know. As someone from outside, we hear about inside IIM-A surprise quizzes as well. So, if you could talk about that, how was that? I mean, was it very stressful preparing for these, or I mean, I'm sure a lot of the aspirants out there would have heard about the surprise quizzes, which is very only IIM Ahmedabad usually does it, right? So, or is it? It is very stressful, is what we hear. So, how was it for you, and how did you sort of handle it? And you talk about
Okay.
that.
Okay, from things we enjoyed to something we never really do, right? So, so IMA had as this tradition or structure where at 1:45, if there is a quiz on that day, this is only for the first year. If there is a quiz on that day, there is a notice put out at 1:45, and the quiz usually starts at I think 2:30 or 2:45. You have like 45 minutes to 1 hour to prepare for the quiz. So at least in the initial few days, everyone was dreading the quiz. Close to the mess, there used to be a notice board, and the classes ended at 1:50. So everyone used to go, hurry to the mess, have lunch, and keep standing there. We used to keep waiting there to see if the clerk is going to the notice board to put up a notice for a quiz. So this was the routine for most of us during the first year. I would say for the first 3 months. It was quite stressful because marks really do matter in the MBA college, at least in terms of placements. So after I think the first term, most people really figure out when the next quiz is going to be. So you have a sense of which subject is going to have the next quiz. Uh, Okay, so with time you figure out which subject is going to have the next quiz, because each subject has a limited number of quizzes. So you most people kind of figured out how to predict this. So with time, the stress really eased out. Uh, People were more attuned to how to work around the system rather than trying to be stressed out about it. With time, it was just another thing. The surprise quizzes. But yeah, initially they were really stressful.
Right. So I think, as you pointed it out, academics matters a lot when it comes to these schools and all. I think, keeping aside the pressure factor and everything, right? A lot of the aspirants would definitely, that is a good sort of a pressure that everybody would want to be in IIMA and go through it. So I think that this would definitely give them a very good motivation, be it the campus life that you talked about, or be it the academic rigor and how it shapes a person, right? When they come into IIM Ahmedabad and when they go out, what are the changes that happens within in terms of personality or anything for that matter, right? I think that really is what people are looking for when they get into IIMA, right? So that is one of the things, obviously. So I think this will definitely be a very good sort of inspiration for people who are preparing for these interviews, be it IIMA or not. I think people will definitely take from this. So
Okay,
yeah, I
so
think
sorry again to interrupt. So
yeah, no
I think
problem.
any premier MBA in India is going to give you an amazing experience. Agreed, for most of you, there's going to be the added baggage of an education loan, but not considering that, you're definitely going to have a very good, amazing 2 years, irrespective of which campus you are going to be in, not just in terms of campus life, but more to do with the peer group that you will be interacting with. These are people whom you're going to be closely associated with for 2 years, and a few of them might just be friends for life. You might reach out to them at any point you need in your career in the future after your MBA. I still do that. Most of us keep in touch with most of our friends, and that's what keeps us going during, say, strenuous post MBA times.
So I think you are a perfect sort of example where you had taken an exam twice. So you're prepared once as a fresher, and then fresher as in for the first time, and then you repeated CAT. So if you could talk about your journey, walk us through how did you prepare for the first time around, and then what did you add to that while you retook the exam as well. So if you could talk a little bit about that, I think that would be really helpful.
Okay, so you made it sound like an achievement that I could say something for freshers and people who are writing the CAT again. But fact is, I failed for the first time in CAT. So okay, so thankful that it helps answer your interview question, right? So at least for the first time, right? Uh, I quit my job one fine day and decided to take up the CAT. So I think there were roughly two odd months to the CAT. So I was working 12-hour shifts during my first stint. So I just used to prepare uh, on my way to work, when I come back from work, and mostly during the commute. So I just looked at the sections the first time. I didn't really have any guidance during the first time. uh, I was fine with logical reasoning and verbal. Being an engineer, I thought quant would be one of my strong suits, but it was actually kind of my weaker suit. So the first time I spent the most of the time I spent was not in writing mocks or preparing for verbal or DILR. It was purely preparing for quant. So, while I was able to solve more quant questions, I think where I missed out the first time was I didn't give enough marks. So I just used to prepare these quant modules mostly from 2IM videos back then. So, in a way, I think I missed out on the most crucial aspect, which is to analyze marks. The first time, at least, I was focused on one particular section, which I thought was a weakness, but I really missed the bigger picture of trying to actually give 3 hour exams. I think that's where I failed the first time. Okay, so that's how I lost out the first time. So second time around, I was employed with 2IM and with ACO. I got to learn a lot from them on how to analyze my CAT prep, CAT marks, in fact. So, I again, I was quite confident about verbal and DILR. So this is just me in case you are not confident about any of the sections. Like I wasn't with quant. I think you need to put in more time for that. But that being said, you also need to keep a check on the other sections where you think you are confident. The second time around, I had given a lot of marks, not able to recall the number. So if I wrote a mark for 3 hours, I used to spend at least 2 to 3 hours trying to analyze my marks to see which are my strengths, which are my weaknesses. Strengths, of course, I didn't focus that much on strengths. I was just trying to make my weaknesses less of a weakness. That's uh, that's how I used the marks the second time.
Right. So I think you clearly outlined what you did for the first time and second time around. I think one thing to clarify is I sort of told that you are a perfect example because one obviously understand that failing the first time around is very difficult. I think for a lot of aspirants, uh, being an example, right? So they need someone whom they can look at and say, okay, this guy failed the first time around and he was able to pull himself up for the second time and give this exam one more shot. I think that is the that is what people are looking at. So you're not someone who went ahead and cracked it the first time around and got into IIM-A. So you put in the work, you were able to pull yourself up and in the second time around and put in that work and get into get a fantastic percentile and get into IIM-A. So that is what I was sort of getting at, right? So I think that in that sense, I think you sort of are in a perfect spot to sort of give that
Okay,
answer.
thanks for making me an idol. But yeah, I think most people fail, right? It just matters how you pick yourself up. Not trying to be philosophical, but I failed the first time. I realized what mistakes I did the first time around. I just rectified them, and eventually you are going to succeed. So it worked out for me the second time. Second time lucky.
Super. So I think one more thing to sort of clarify here is, as Yutish pointed out in his answer, so when he wrote CAT, it was a 3 hour exam. So right now,
Yeah.
CAT has made it a 2 hour exam. I think for the foreseeable future, we believe it is going to be that way. We don't know anyway. So we'll once the sort of when they release the announcement and all during August, the month of August, we'll probably get to know. But that has been the trend for now, right? So it's been a 2 hour exam for the past 3 times. So I think for him it would have been little bit more difficult because he has to write a 3 hour mock exam and then analyze that. So I mean personally for me I
Oh,
prefer a 3 hour exam because it little I mean the stress is a little bit lesser when it comes to a 3 hour exam. But yeah, I mean that is one thing to sort of highlight just to highlight here.
agreed, right? So I prefer the 3 hour exam as well because it gave me more time to think. But there are people who think longer exams make them more worn out. They prefer shorter exams. But either way, you have a 2 hour cat now, and you'll need to work your way through it.
Exactly. So I think whether you like it or not, you are into the game, and now you just have to prepare for it and get yourself ready for the exam. So that is what you're getting at. So I think he has given a lot of pointers as to how do you go about preparing for the first time and second time around. And I think one important thing that again he pointed out was taking a lot of mocks, which uh, again just taking mocks is not enough, but trying to analyze them. I think that is one thing that even we at 2IIM see a lot of people do, right? That is one mistake, right? People take marks, but there's this sense of the ego that kicks in when you're giving marks, right? If you're not doing well, you take one more mark immediately to get a very good score. There is this urge of getting good scores in marks, which is, I understand that there is this sense of, aspirants need that confidence, right, while taking marks. But more than that, I think analyzing marks and where you went wrong is what is very important, and that's what Yutish should have definitely done, right? I think that is one important thing that you guys need to sort of have it in mind. Super. So again, one more question I'm just going to put forth, which is slightly going to be philosophical, but you said that you had this feeling of you failed the first time around. So again, when you wrote the second time, you had put in the work. How was it while writing the exam? Did at the back of your head, did it have something like, okay, this is another attempt that I'm giving it, and at that point in time, you had, I think, 3.5 years of work ex, right? If I'm not wrong, more than 3 years of work ex. So, did it have any impact on your approach to the exam, or how was the mindset while you're writing the second time around?
Okay. So stress is all about how you handle it, right? So I had multiple nights where I would wake up in the night thinking of CAT, thinking of what happens if I fail. But with time, I just learned to take it as just another thing. Of course, not saying you shouldn't prepare. I had put in the whole year preparing for CAT in some way or the other. So I just tried to kind of decide that I'm not going to take any more stress about this. I have put in enough preparation. I will just keep the exam on the day, and I will be happy with what happens. That was my mindset towards the second attempt, or to closer towards the date of the CAT. So I would say I wasn't really much stressed closer to CAT, but a few weeks or months before that, I was quite stressed. But I think every aspirant will find their own mechanisms to handle stress, and I think that's what will matter more than how much you prepare.
Super, super. I think putting in that effort and having faith in the process sort of, and as he pointed it out, right? So everybody has their own ways of coping up with the stress and how to handle it. So I think that will definitely, in some way or the other, is going to you're going to find it, and sort of that will help you out. So I think for that is an important question I wanted to ask, because a lot of them, the exam, more than preparation, that exam puts a lot of pressure on them. Taking that exam and thinking that, okay, this is one thing, this is my get out of jail pass sort of a thing, which is the sort of mindset that the aspirant goes in, right? So the the mindset of taking that exam sort of pulls down a lot of performance of a lot of the aspirants. So that is why I wanted to ask that question. So I
Okay,
think
so this one day is not going to define your life, right? So if you fail in CAT, there's always a SAT, there's always a next year. But agreed, no one wants to wait till the next year. But taking any amount of stress in any way is definitely not going to help you in any way. So better be less stressed rather than keep thinking about what's going to happen.
super, super. Great. So I think you have given a bunch of your experiences and insights. So I think we are at the end of this session. So if you could give us a final sort of advice or any suggestions that you have for people who are going to take interviews, or who are already in the process of taking interviews, right? So if you could tell one piece of advice for them, and even for people who are looking to prepare for CAT 2023. So if you could go ahead and
Well, so just a disclaimer. So whatever I said is based on my version of events. Whatever I have gone through, whatever I did to pass or go through the CAT, everyone will have their own experiences. Just a few things that I think you should consider is there's going to be a lot of advice floating around. Different people will have different perspectives. They will say, they will put forward different methods of preparing for the CAT. You need to pick and choose which method you think will fit best for you. You do not have to follow what someone else says. That might have worked for them. Even what I said might definitely have worked for me, but won't really maybe work for you. So you can just listen to different people, but pick and choose what you think will work for you. You can maybe just try it out for a few weeks, see if it works for you. If not, switch. there is no one right way of preparing for the CAT. So that's I think one of the main things you need to understand. And like me and Bala was speaking earlier, I think it's not the end of the world if you don't get a good CAT score. It all that matters is how you pick yourself up and how you're able to maybe retake the CAT and get through. So don't lose hopes, don't be stressed, and pick your own path. I think that's all I would like to say. Well, that was about people who were giving the CAT, what people who were giving the interviews. All the best. Don't take any amount of undue stress. Take it one interview at a time. And at least from my experience, don't fake anything. You will be caught easily by these experienced folks who are taking an interview. Uh, be stress free and don't try to work your way around the interview. Be as genuine as possible. Again, this worked for me, might not work for you, but this is just my 2 cents.
Any of it?
Thanks, Bala. Thanks for inviting me. Thanks to Rajesh sir and Bhaskar sir again for getting me back to speak with you guys. Again, to all the aspirants, all the best. Uh, like I said, just repeating, don't take too much stress. Be positive, and I think things will work out.
Super. So again, I think we have got a lot of insights from Yutish. So again, once again, many thanks for taking time out and sharing your experiences here. So I'm sure all the aspirants out there would have gained a lot from your experience. So again, wish you all the best, guys, for people who are taking interviews or for people who are preparing for CAT 2023. Best wishes, do well, and we hope that you go places or wherever that you're hoping for, right? So yeah, best wishes, guys.